Well, good morning, folks. Morning for 2 more minutes. Good afternoon, folks. Aaron Dorr here with WIGO. Guys, we're getting so many calls and emails in the last hour and a half in the wake of our Sniffer-in-Chief's executive actions that he promised in today's press conference. We decided to do a Facebook Live video to tell you guys what was said, what's going on, what we can do about it here in Wyoming. I'm going to pause here for just a moment, as we always do, and get a watch party set up. Give me a few seconds on that. We're actually going to lose our watch parties on April 16, according to Mr. Zuckerberg. This will not happen much longer, but as long as we have it, we're going to utilize this. So come on in, guys, to this broadcast. Let me launch the watch party, and then we're going to begin the video. Lots of questions after today's press conference from our Sniffer-in-Chief about what happened, what do we do about it, what's on the line now, what's at stake, and we're going to answer all those in this broadcast. So let us know where you're watching from. As always, guys, your comments help the video to be seen by more people, which is always our goal, to get more people involved in the fight for freedom. So post your location in the comment section. We're about 10 seconds away from the watch party going, and we're going to begin the broadcast. So, okay, so first of all, first questions first is what is on the table? What did our Sniffer-in-Chief say he was going to do with today's press conference via executive action? So I want to kind of paint the picture here. So just to be clear, thanks to all the work of so many gun owners, Sniffer Joe Biden knows that right now he can't pass his gun control agenda items through the Congress. He doesn't have the votes. He's acknowledging that today by being in the Rose Garden doing a press conference using executive action to attack our gun rights because he doesn't have the votes to get it done in Congress. And so that the first thing you have to be aware of is that your pressure is helping to hold the line in Congress, because as bad as what we heard about today, his agenda items today in the press conference, there's a whole lot more they're trying to get accomplished and get passed in Congress. So number one, well done on keeping the line where we have been so far. But Sniffer-in-Chief Joe Biden announced today he intends to use executive action to do a couple things. Number one, he wants to regulate your AR-15 pistol braces in the same way that a machine gun is regulated. So a lot of guys and gals love these things. It allows you to use an AR-15 pistol and put a pistol brace on it, making it more useful, more able to be used in a self-defense situation. He wants to take those away, or at the very least regulate them like they are a Class 3 weapon. That's a pistol brace on the AR-15, very popular amongst self-defense enthusiasts. He also wants to take away your right to have a home-build firearm, an 80% lower receiver. These are extremely common and very popular amongst gun owners who like to build their own firearms and who like to utilize these home-build kits to build high-quality firearms. There are a ton of them in stock or in circulation, and Joe Biden hates that, because Joe Biden hates anything that puts more guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens, whether it's Wyoming or any place else. So that's number two on the executive orders actions today. And number three is he's going to introduce and have the DOJ propose a template, red flag gun seizure law that he wants every state legislature in America to emulate and to pass into law. And what's more, they're going to use all of our federal taxpayer money to bribe state legislatures into enacting red flag gun seizure laws. They would love to do this at the federal level as a federal law, but much more insidious than that, they want the states to do it. And they intend to bribe the states with federal taxpayer money. That is how they intend to advance red flag gun seizure laws. That way, they're not on the hook. They're not responsible for a damn thing. They can point to the state legislature and say, well, they're the ones that passed it. So if you have any problems, take it up with them. I'm just posting a comment here in the comment section. Give me just a couple seconds here, and we'll be moving on from this. That's number three. And number four, and perhaps most obscene of all is Sniffer-in-Chief Joe Biden announced today his nominee for the new head of the AFT. Now, maybe you're thinking, Aaron, dude, it's the ATF. Well, I know that, and you know that, and we all know that. But Joe Biden is so stupid, so out to lunch, so fried upstairs that he called it not once but twice the AFT. And so the new AFT director that he nominated today was David Chipman. Now, some of you know this, some of you might not know this. Does anybody care to guess where Mr. Chipman most recently worked until probably about an hour ago, until he became the nominee for the AFT? I'll pause here for a couple seconds, but a lot of you already probably know this. But Mr. Chipman has been a lifelong enemy to the Second Amendment, to America, to freedom, and his current position is the head policy advisor at Giffords Gun Control Organization. Giffords, of course, being the group that Gabby Giffords, former Congresswoman Giffords, runs, and of course her husband is U.S. Senator Mark Kelly. And so what we're talking about here by extension is that Gabby Giffords and her husband will effectively be running the AFT, otherwise known as the BATFE. And so this organization, this bureaucracy has always hated gun owners. Going back to when I was a child, they've always hated gun owners and mercilessly attacked gun owners. And that was under other administrations. But now we literally have the head of a national gun control organization being proposed as the head of the ATF. This is a disaster. This is how politics works. This is just Sniffer Joe Biden repaying the leftist, America-hating, freedom-hating nut jobs who spent hundreds of millions of dollars to put him into office. That's what this is, and he's going to put their people in positions of power. So these are the four things, first of all, that we have from today's press conference, the executive actions and nominations that he made today. But I want to make sure that you guys understand this, and I don't mean to make anybody too upset. I mean, I can't help it, to a certain degree. But understand that where we are today in 2021, we get here because of a series of compromises that gun owners have been told we have to accept. Right? So just go back with me just a couple years, 2018. Madeline, tell the guys I'm live right now. Just go back to 2018, and you have the shooting in Las Vegas. And that guy, depends on, that whole thing was so much bullshit. I have no idea who to believe about what happened in Las Vegas. But that shooter supposedly used a bump stock. And so what happened? What happened? Well, the National Rifle Association comes out and tells President Trump, you know what? You should ban bump stocks. And more than that, the NRA said, and to avoid having to worry about the fallout legislatively, you should just do it via executive action through the ATF. And so the NRA stood there and said, sure, just do it. Do it. And so President Trump, taking the advice from the largest stakeholder in this conversation, President Trump took their advice and he banned bump stocks. And a whole bunch of gun owners, I don't mean you guys, I damn sure don't mean Nino Weber and J.R. Richardson and people like you who are on this, who've been involved in this fight, Senator Tom James, who's on here right now. Not you people, but a whole bunch of gun owners across the country. We call them FUDs. You know what I mean, FUDs. The guys who have the $10,000 gold inlaid, side-by-side shotgun they use for their exotic hunts that have always been MIA in the fight for freedom. All the FUDs got up there and said, that's fine, take them. I don't have a bump stock. I don't need a bump stock. I think they're a gimmick. No one needs a bump stock. It's just kind of it's a toy. It's not important. And so because gun owners, not WIGO members, but because gun owners at the national level let the NRA speak for them and let the NRA tell President Trump to, number one, ban bump stocks, number two, do it via executive action, and number three, have the ATF handle this. That way, there's no votes in Congress. Well, now today, Joe Biden can sit here and do the exact same thing. Oh, I'm pro-gun, says Joe Biden, Sniffer Joe, creepy old Joe. I'm pro-gun, but these are dangerous accessories. And I got to be totally honest with you. If I was writing the speech for creepy Uncle Joe, which of course I would never do, but if I was writing that speech, I would say right in there, I would say, just like my predecessor banned accessories via executive action in 2018 with the full support of the National Rifle Association to make our streets safer, so I am going to take executive action to ban one additional accessory to keep our streets safer. You see, folks, this is the problem when we make concessions, when we make compromises, when we give an inch. These bastards will take everything we've got. They won't pause for a second. The NRA stupidly, foolishly said in 2018, well, if we concede on bump stocks, then we can save our AR-15s. That was asinine. They don't even have the votes today to ban AR-15s now with Biden in the White House. They damn sure could not have banned AR-15s in 2018. We all know that. That compromise was foolish. That compromise was dangerous. That compromise is why we're standing where we are today in 2021. And now we see two more items on the chopping block via executive action. So I want you guys to understand how important it is for us as a gun rights organization at the state level and as we apply pressure on the federal level to not ever be okay with a compromise on anything ever, because it only leads to our enemies taking away bits and pieces and pieces of our freedom. Have you ever seen compromise on gun rights work the opposite direction? Have we ever seen us gain gun rights in D.C. this way? We've done nothing but lose freedom for a very, very, very long time. Robert Rice says, all of us in Wyoming need to be in touch with our local, county, and state governments to fight back against executive orders. We need to be a Second Amendment sanctuary state. Well, funny you mentioned that, Robert, because we're going to talk about that briefly. I want you guys to understand, of course, the legislature's adjourned now for the year. After their COVID break, they had a late second half, we'll call it, of the legislature. And while the governor did sign our bill, HB 116, that extends constitutional carry protections to every law-abiding gun owner, not just Wyomingites, we all know that the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which is the far more important legislation this year, SAPE legislation for short, was murdered in the state Senate. SAPE legislation was murdered in the Wyoming State Senate. And so I want you guys to understand, in Missouri right now, here's some context. I work in a bunch of states. You guys know that. Hell, I got the Missouri banner, I think, right here underneath the Wyoming banner. I was going Facebook Live in Missouri not an hour ago. In Missouri, the legislature there, in reaction to what Sniffer Joe did an hour or two ago, they just wrapped up committee action on SAPA legislation in Missouri. And so they're very close. The bill's already passed the House, but they're going to hammer this through potentially because they know this is the only way we defend our freedom. Red states across America are passing pro-gun bills left, right, and center because they know with creepy Joe Biden in the White House, we have to do all we can, throw up as many safeguards as we can to protect our freedoms. What do we got going on in Cheyenne? You got Senator Larry Hicks, and you got the majority of the legislature. They take SAPA, get it through committee, only because we ran a huge TV ad campaign on Senator Tara Nethercott, the chair of the committee. Get the bill through committee, get it on the floor, get it past the first reading, get it past the second reading without touching it. That way, WIGO members can't put pressure on the legislature because they're doing the right thing. And then on third reading, the final reading of this bill, Senator Hicks takes the bill and he runs a horrific, god-awful amendment, and he murders SAPA legislation, destroys it. As you guys probably know, what the bill was designed to do was say that Wyoming city cops, sheriff's deputies, and state troopers could only enforce Wyoming law when it comes to guns, ammo, and accessories. Let me say it one more time. SEPA legislation requires that Wyoming peace officers, enforce Wyoming statute when it comes to guns, ammo, or accessories. It's very similar to how some states choose to not enforce federal laws on, say, marijuana, where the state law says it's okay, federal law says it's a crime, the state says screw you, nobody enforces the federal law, and that's just how it works, because the states have an absolute sovereign right to make their own laws. It's the whole Constitution, right? And so Wyoming has the power to create differing laws, as we already have, our state gun laws, versus federal gun laws. The question is, will the legislature have the balls? I'll just say the balls to pass the bill. That's the question, and the answer is no, they don't. So Senator Hicks, and almost all of the Senate Republican caucus voted to destroy SEPA legislation last week, and so the way the bill advanced. The law would require that the Attorney General would review all future federal gun control laws, and if she had no problem with them, then it was fine. If she thought there might be a constitutional problem, she'd bump it up to the governor. Now, of course, we all know Bridget Hill, the Attorney General, is coming after Wyoming gun owners, for example, because of how hard we fight to defend your freedom. The Wyoming AG's office, long before Bridget Hill, has always, going back to decades ago, been an enemy to gun owners here in Wyoming. It's always been that way. And so if the Attorney General, Bridget Hill, currently thinks is a problem, they can then bump it up to the governor. And then if Governor Gordon thinks it's a problem, he can then all of a sudden find his backbone, and he can then issue an executive order of his own telling Wyoming cops to not enforce this federal gun control law. Folks, this is complete BS. This will never happen, not in a million years. Senator Hicks knows it. Senator Dockstader knows it. Senator Driscoll knows it. The entire leadership team knows it. And that's why they did it, to kill the bill. Well, then trying to be able to say, oh, no, we didn't kill SEPA. We passed it. We passed it. That's a damn lie. That's a complete lie. They passed nothing of the sort. They passed a fragment, a joke. They passed an insult onto gun owners in Wyoming. That's what they did with SEPA legislation. So that's how we shut down federal gun control with the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Now, we're not there. Session's adjourned, but by God, we're not going away on this fight. And if anything, the pressure's going to mount more by next session on this legislation, because by God, we're going to mount it. I need your help to do that, guys. Take a moment and sign the petition we have prepared for you. It's right there in the comment section. It's above the video. I'm going to pin this right now in the comment section if my computer will function properly. Sign your petition in support of SEPA. Do it today. Do it now so that we can get this to your legislators and they can realize that they have a problem on their hands. They can fight for the Second Amendment, or they can answer to the gun owners at election time. And trust me, they don't want to do that. They don't like that prospect because all of their friends got crushed in the primaries in 2020. So we need you guys to help us get this thing out, get the pressure mounting on this bill. Senator Tom James, as I both sponsored the original bill and co-sponsored it, and we voted against the compromise amendment, I believe is what he's saying. I have no question about that. Tom James and Senator Bouchard are some of the best of the best of the best, and they stood tall. And that's what's so amusing, right? All the anti-gun media outlets, which is pretty much everybody in Wyoming, is now attacking Senator Bouchard, people like Senator James and others, because they voted against the bill on its passage. They didn't vote against the bill. They voted against a remnant, an insult, the scraps of the bill. That bill was terrible after it was amended, and it should have been killed, and thank God it did not pass out of the House. And so if you ever see a media outlet attacking these guys because they voted against a so-called gun bill in Cheyenne, rest assured that bill was a POS that should have died anyway. So thank you to Senator James for helping to for not giving in to the pressure and backing this garbage legislation. Wyomingites have a decision to make. WIGO members have made their decision, but Wyomingites in general have a decision to make. We can play along with all the establishment crowd and all the frontier Republicans and all these folks that say we have to support the Team R no matter what, or we can decide, you know what, we're going to stand up for freedom. And we're going to hold the line, by God. And if people will not support freedom, they shouldn't be surprised when gun owners don't support them. It's just that simple. We'd never tell you guys who to vote for, but by goodness, we will give you guys the facts that they are desperately trying to keep hidden in Cheyenne, and we'll revel in it, to be totally honest. So, guys, that's what I need you to do today. Sign your petition right away in support of SAPA, number one. Number two, if you're not a member of Wyoming Gun Owners, you need to get involved. It has never been more important, ever been more important than now. The link is above the video. It's joinwygo.com. Very easy to remember, joinwygo.com. If you are a member, donate today. Help us. Help us fight back. There's so much more coming yet this session. Guys, there are things that we're going to be able to announce to you in the not too distant future that are going to make moderate heads explode in Cheyenne, and things you guys are going to be able to help us do to continue this fight for freedom long after session has adjourned. We're so excited about the future of what's going to happen here with WIGO. Much more to come, guys. Take action. Sign your petition. Talk to your state senator. Just ask him and say, why do you suck so bad if you voted for the amendment in Cheyenne that killed SAPA legislation? That to me is a great way to start the conversation. Why do you suck so bad in Cheyenne? Try that out for size. If anybody says, why do you talk like that, say, because Aaron Dorr told me to. Guys, that's all I have time for right now. Sign your petition, share our video, join and donate. We'll be in touch. Take action and take care.